Now broadcasting from the Next Gen Conservative Studio in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report with Sam Whitfield.
And hello there, folks. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Whitfield Report podcast. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, recording here from NGC Studios. Technically, we are recording this on a Monday, but Tuesdays are pretty busy for me now, so I am pre-recording this in advance for the Tuesday show. Hope you all are doing well wherever you're listening to this in the past, present, future hour. I know I'm doing well. Contact info as usual. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you can do so at @SamDeber_NGC, hashtag Whitfield Report. Follow me on Gab, Parler, and Minds at Sam Whitfield, and also follow me on Getter.com, that new app over there. It's working out pretty well for me, so go over there and follow me as well at Sam Whitfield. Facebook.com/Whitfield Report. TheSamWhitfield.com is my website. Of course, you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you get your podcasts. And please give us a 5-star rating and review. And as always, Patreon.com/The Whitfield Report if you'd like to financially support the show as well. Alright, a lot to get into today, folks. One thing I wanted to cover a bit with you guys and discuss is the U.S. has finally pulled out of Afghanistan after 20 years. And that is kind of mind-blowing to think about, that we've been in the Middle East and in Afghanistan for 20 years, roughly. Just for context, and this is something that I've really been thinking about a lot today and last night when I started kind of drafting my show notes. But the thing that sticks out in my mind the most is when we entered into Afghanistan, right? When 9/11 happened, I'm 26 now, and when 9/11 happened, I was around 6 or 7 years old, right? And when we entered Afghanistan, I was close to 8 years old. So I was a young kid when the conflict in the Middle East started after 9/11. Right? I am 26. I'm almost graduated from college with my degree. A lot of my friends are in the same process. Some of them have already graduated college and, have their careers going. And then some of my friends even have gotten married, and they have kids of their own. And not just that, but some of my friends who have kids, granted, they're young parents, but some of my friends have kids who are now the same age as we were, as their parents and myself were, when we entered into the Afghanistan conflict. And that is just mind-boggling to me. That there's a whole new generation of kids, some of whom are the exact same age as I was when we entered into the conflict. And I've been talking to veteran friends and just kind of friends in general, asking what did we gain from going into Afghanistan? What was the purpose of going into Afghanistan? And was it worth it? I'm hoping to get some veteran friends of mine on the show to discuss this maybe. I've reached out to a couple of people. Haven't heard back from any of them yet. But kind of the upshot from what I've heard from some of them, just, talking on Messenger, Discord, and other forms of communication, is a lot of veteran friends, who have served in Afghanistan, some of them. And by the way, if you are listening to this podcast and you have served, in our military, as always, we thank you for our service here on the Whitfield Report. At any rate, though, there's a lot of divisive opinions on Afghanistan, even amongst our troops who have fought and served. Some of them definitely feel that it was worth going over there to fight terrorism, to help basically cripple Osama bin Laden's operation and later on kill him. And I was already podcasting with the Whitfield Analysis, my old show, when the bin Laden raid took place. And there's absolutely no question in my mind that that was the right thing to do at the time. In fact, it should have happened sooner, in my opinion, when we had the chance to. But then Afghanistan is just, it's always been, as a veteran friend of mine mentioned, it's been an inconquerable land, sort of, right? Even going back to Napoleon in the 1500s, it's just always been a land that has, for whatever reason, been impossible to tame, really. Napoleon was a great conqueror, and yet he could not, overtake Afghanistan. Some of the conflicts of World War One, well, they didn't take place in Afghanistan directly. They did deal with the Ottoman Empire, and people who were from that region in the Middle East. And it was, those conflicts have, raged on, and it was impossible to, get a hold on Afghanistan or any of the, surrounding countries in the Middle East there. One thing that most notably comes to mind, a little bit before my time, but I thought of this last night when I was doing show notes as well. The Russian military, when the Russians, at the end of the Cold War, the Soviet Union tried to occupy Afghanistan. And they were unsuccessful, partially due to us, actually, because we allied with the Mujahideen. I know I just butchered that. But, yeah, we actually allied with Osama bin Laden and the Mujahideen at one point to overthrow the Soviets in Afghanistan. And there are many people, and as I've gotten older and learned history, who feel that us doing that and then just essentially up and leaving was one of the worst things that we could do. Particularly the fact that we kind of left and just let the Mujahideen just kind of do its thing. We didn't really put any structure in there. And I'm not saying that nation building would have been a good thing, but we didn't really do anything, um, in regards to helping there either. So it's just the the whole Afghan thing throughout history has been kind of a clusterfuck in and of itself. And like I said, there are people I've talked to who can give a lot more specific details. So I'm going to try and get people on. But just kind of from what I've gleaned, did we really, beat terrorism over there? Did we really get rid of Al Qaeda? Well, the answer is kind of both yes and no from what I've gathered. We severely, crushed Al Qaeda's forces, in Afghanistan in kind of the early days, and we certainly got rid of Osama bin Laden, who was a major figurehead in terms of, terrorism. But then, we continued over there, and the Obama administration, because of the power vacuum that was kind of created over there, you had ISIS that, came to power over in Afghanistan and in the Middle East. So that became a big thing. Then Trump, to Trump's credit, made a couple of military operations that basically, decimated ISIS for the most part. And, even though this isn't Afghanistan, Trump did drone General Qasem Soleimani by Iran, who was, allegedly using bases in Afghanistan and was planning on attacking military personnel and perhaps starting another war. And granted, Trump might not have, been perfect, but he seemed to have a handle on that. Now with us completely withdrawing, here is kind of the essence of, what kind of the long and short of what I've heard from some of my associates who have served. Just kind of the general gist of what I've heard from veterans I know who served is this. Well, it was a bad idea for us to go into Afghanistan in the first place because we opened ourselves up to, just a giant quagmire that could never really be fixed. But it's also kind of a bad idea for us to completely pull out of Afghanistan because we should always keep something there to essentially kind of keep the infrastructure we've helped build there from collapsing in on itself. So Afghanistan is kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. It would not surprise me, and many are kind of fearing this already, that the Taliban, that ISIS, and other terrorist groups are already, they are already regaining major parts of the country as U.S. troops draw down in Afghanistan, and it's looking like the bad guys, if we just want to kind of paraphrase and use that term, the bad guys are taking over again. So again, this really is kind of a a no-win situation for us at this point. And, my whole thing is, well, we're pulling out, but will we have to go back there, in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, right? Because even though Joe Biden is, the one pulling us out, that doesn't necessarily mean that he can't, send us back in there if he wanted to. And, that may be what ends up happening. The withdrawal may be a mistake. And Biden may send us back in because, as it turns out, we can't pull out. But then, I fear that would actually make things worse. So it is a, kind of a general clusterfuck in general. There's no good way of going about it. But what is even more concerning to me, ladies and gentlemen, is the way in which Joe Biden, the President of the United States, has handled this whole thing. Very, very kind of concerning indeed. So, here is Joe Biden answering questions about the Afghanistan pull-out from July 2nd of this year. This clip comes from Politico. And, this is kind of concerning. So, it shows that Biden really isn't all there competently. Alright, so this is a clip of Biden kind of dodging questions on Afghanistan. Let's...
Can you talk to us about Afghanistan? Is the drawdown going to be done in the next few days?
No. No, we're on track exactly as to where we expect it to be. But I wanted to make sure there was enough, quote, running room that we wouldn't be able to do it all to September. There'll still be some forces left, but it's a rational drawdown with our allies, and it's making so there's nothing unusual about it.
Are you worried that the Afghan government might fall? I mean, we are hearing about the Taliban is taking more and more districts.
Look, we're in that war for 20 years. 20 years. And I think I met with the Afghan government here in the White House, in the Oval. I think they have the capacity to be able to sustain the government.
Wait, Joe. You think you met with the Afghan government in the White House? Or you did? Now, folks, you may think I'm nitpicking here, but that's not really wise for a president to say, well, I think I met with the Afghan government in the White House. But that denotes that I can't really remember. And again, I mean, I hate to bring this up every, single episode, but Dementia Joe, we have a dementia patient running the, well, he's not really running anything at this point. It seems like he's more like a figurehead, but, that's the, concern is he's saying things like, I think I met with the Afghan government. I think I'm confident in their ability. No, Mr. President, are you confident or are you not? That's the $1 million question.
There's going to have to be, down the road, more negotiations, I suspect. But I am concerned that they deal with the internal issues that they have to be able to generate the kind of support they need nationwide to maintain the government.
Thought on Afghanistan.
I want to talk about happy things, man.
If there is evidence that Kabul...
I want to talk about happy things, man. Which, that's also telling, right? That Biden is trying to, duck the issue. He wants to talk about happy things. And granted, this is from July 2nd. This is right before 4th of July weekend. So part of me, I get it. But also, you're the president of the United States, man. You're supposed to, answer tough questions. Imagine for a sec if Donald Trump had said those exact same words. Oh, I don't want to talk about this, that, or the other thing. I want to talk about, happy stuff. I want to talk about 4th of July. Just imagine if Trump had said that, the media would be playing clips of that over and over and over again. Trump doesn't want to talk about, serious stuff. He wants just to go golfing and talk about, nonsense. He probably wants to, talk about Mar-a-Lago, whatever. There would be outrage from the mainstream media if Trump had said the same thing. But because it's Joe Biden, oh, look at how cute Grandpa is. He just wants to talk about happy things. Now, a journalist here, I don't know who it is, they do, they do press him on this. Some of them do. And he gets pretty agitated here. For those of you watching on the video, you might be able to see he's already kind of staring off into the, distance a bit. This is not good, necessarily.
Is threatened, which some of the intelligence reports have suggested it could be in 6 months or thereabouts. Do you think you've got the capability to help?
All right, let me back the question up here again, because what the journalist asked is really, kind of important here.
If there is evidence that Kabul is threatened, which some of the intelligence reports have suggested it could be in 6 months or thereabouts, do you think you've got the capability to help provide any kind of air support, military support to them to keep the capital safe, even if the U.S. troops are obviously fully out by that time?
And that is a legit question to be asking the President of the United States, especially, with what's historically gone on in the Middle East and in Afghanistan. Troops pull out, the bad guys tend to overtake Afghanistan again, and things go haywire. So what's going to be different this time? Does Joe Biden even have an answer? I don't know. Let's see here if he does.
We have worked out an over-horizon capacity that we can be value-added, but the Afghans are going to have to be able to do it themselves with the Air Force they have, which you're helping them maintain.
Now, the audience, if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, you obviously can't see this, but for those of you who are watching on video, and I will describe this for the audio podcast audience, just to answer that question, Joe Biden had to look down at the podium, and you can see he held a note card, essentially. He had to use a note card to answer that question. And essentially the answer to his question is, well, no, we don't have anything concretely yet, but we're still working on strategy. Very concerning.
I'm not going to answer any more questions on Afghanistan. Look, it's 4th of July. I'm concerned that you guys are asking me questions that I'll answer next week. But this is a holiday weekend. I'm going to...
Afghanistan, is the drawdown going to be done?
Years, we've got a record number. Economy's growing. Asking me questions that I'll answer. 4th of July. I'm concerned that you guys are asking me questions that I'll answer next week. But this is a holiday weekend. I'm going to celebrate it.
Okay, I'm concerned that you guys are asking me questions that I'm going to answer next week. Again, if Donald Trump were president and said the exact same thing, we would be hearing about this non-stop. It would be played non-stop to show, Trump's incompetency. Trump doesn't want to answer tough questions about Afghanistan. He's incompetent. Biden does this, and everyone thinks it's, cute in the media. Some people are starting to wake up and realize that this is actually a problem, but not enough people, in my view. Not enough.
Big things happening. Economy's growing faster than any time in 40 years. We've got a record number of new jobs.
Again, in terms of the economy, where are you getting those numbers from, Joe? Where? The economy might be doing good now, but that's that's not gonna last. And a lot of that stuff that is going well is a holdover from Trump's economy, which was doing fantastic prior to the whole beer bug.
COVID deaths are down 90%. Wages are up faster than any time in 15 years. We're bringing our troops home. We have all across America. People are going to ball games and doing good things. This is a good. I'll answer all your negative questions. Not negative. Your legitimate questions.
Not so interesting. He said, "I'll answer all your negative questions," and then he caught himself and said, not negative, legitimate questions. Okay, folks. So, boy, oh boy, oh boy. I honestly, I don't know where to really start here on this, but that response in and of itself, and there are other clips of Biden flipping out on reporters this week for asking about Afghanistan. Clay and Buck actually played a few on their radio show / podcast. This is not good news, ladies and gentlemen. It's not good news at all, the way that Biden is handling things. He cannot answer exactly what our strategy for pulling out is. He cannot answer questions on, questions like, what if the Taliban regroups and takes back over, as we're seeing that they are starting to do. He cannot answer any of these questions. He can't answer questions as to whether or not he believes that the Afghan government is even capable. Hell, he even said that he thinks he met with the Afghan government in the White House, which indicates to me that he honestly can't remember whether or not the Afghan leaders were here in this country. And it's his job to know these things as President of the United States. And then any journalist or any reporter that was asking questions about Afghanistan, those were viewed as negative questions. And then he caught himself. Now keep in mind, I'm not a fan of the media. And, I think a lot of them are kind of in the, a lot of them are in the soft camp for Biden. But even some of them, when they were asking these questions, even, I would think CNN, even Politico, where I got this video from. Politico is by no means a conservative website. It's definitely not Breitbart.com. And yet what we have here is even the mainstream media is starting to wake up and realize, oh shit, this guy really might not be all there. This is, concerning. So to answer your question, ladies and gentlemen, of, what do I think about us pulling out of Afghanistan? Well, it's a complex issue. On one hand, I very much think it's time to come home. Part of me thinks that we might, that we should have never really gone in the first place if this was going to be the result. Part of me thinks it's a bad idea that we are pulling out and that we should stay over there. A lot of people have compared it to Vietnam, and in terms of the great debate of whether or not Vietnam was successful or not. I think a lot of people are having the same debate about Afghanistan right now, and I think that will be a debate that we have for a couple of years to come, actually, especially as, the conflict in Afghanistan and the Middle East starts to, brew again. And some of, a lot of libertarians and a lot of anti-war Democrats will say things like, oh, well, we should have never been in there in the first place. Well, that may or may not be true, but, for all intents and purposes, we've been in the Middle East for decades, for centuries even. So at this point, can we really avoid the Middle East now and being involved because we already are partially involved? I don't think we can turn our involvement off and on like a spigot, because it never turns out well. Either pull out entirely or keep a force there, that just has things under watch. At this point, I am, pretty sure that we just need to do the latter, because if we don't, things will, turn even more disastrous for us. And I'll tell you another thing. It's concerning to me that, that Joe Biden is the one who is overseeing this. Supposedly a man who, needs cue cards to remember the most basic talking points because his dementia has gotten so bad. Just very concerning. On the other hand, though, kind of switching topics, Donald Trump spoke at CPAC this previous weekend. They had CPAC over the weekend in Dallas, Texas, and Trump's keynote speech was kind of the great anticipation of everything. And so here are a few of Trump's remarks from Sunday's, CPAC speech, and I think it's pretty interesting. This isn't the whole thing, but here are a few highlights of President Trump's CPAC speech. Again, is he going to run? A lot of people seem to think so. Is he going to in reality? Folks, we're 2 years, still at the door, so we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, here's Trump's, CPAC speech, or at least a few excerpts of it. Let's play the clip.
Marxists and the critical race theorists. The Biden administration has turned the border into the single greatest disaster. Our movement is the greatest in American history, and it has just begun.
Former President Trump touting his administration's successes while taking aim at President Biden during CPAC in Dallas.
The Brewer Group CEO Jack Brewer attended and then spoke at the conference and joins us with more this morning. Good morning, Jack.
Okay, this is not... hold on a sec here, folks. This is not what I thought we were going to be getting here. So let me go to the clip. Here it is.
People in the country want voter ID, so now the Democrats, again, same old story. They're saying, we want voter ID. We've always wanted voter ID. These people are sick. We will completely defund and bar critical race theory. 1776, not 1619, if you don't mind. And if government-run schools are going to teach children to hate their country, we will demand school choice, and we already have been. If you listen to the media or watch the evening newscasts, our country has really gone bad. All we talk about is race. That's all they talk about, race. The whole show, race, race. We don't talk about our country being great anymore. We don't talk about how America can lead the world. We don't talk about stopping crime or the hundreds and hundreds of people that are being shot in Democrat-run cities and what to do about it. We don't talk about ending the drugs pouring across our borders, which I had greatly reduced with our wall and so many other things that we're doing. And most importantly, we never talk about the great future of our country. We don't talk about any of this stuff anymore. The Democrat-controlled media talks race, race, race for political reasons. And they always have, but never like this. But it's hurting our country, and more than anyone else, our great minority communities. It's hurting them very badly. The Democrat obsession with race is only dragging us backward into the past, and it is bringing our country down to a point where even China and Russia are lecturing us on human rights, race, and they're doing it in a very humiliating fashion.
Okay, so I do want to jump in here. This is the Trump that we needed during 2020, right? This is a Trump that is refined, that's on point, that's speaking clearly, that pretty much has all of his ducks lined up in a row. Obviously, Trump has his own tone. He's not a smooth talker like Barack Obama was. He's still the tough one, Don. But this is not a Trump who is really sticking his, foot in his mouth. He's being serious here. In his own way, I wouldn't really say that he's being charismatic, but he's not being the, he's being presidential here, I would say. He's not being a shit poster. And, believe me, like Apex, I love when Trump's being a comic. I love when Trump is a shit poster, right? But, for these times that we're in, we do need a serious leading individual. And that, in my mind, is, we need this Trump that's on right now. One that's, serious, one that is taking things serious. This was the Trump that we needed in 2020. I believe that, in the large part we did get this Trump. We needed him during the debate. That first debate against Biden, and I'm sorry to say this, but he really did do damage to himself here. So if he does decide to run again in 2024, this is what we need out of Trump. Full stop. Let's continue.
Never happened. Never happened with me. During my administration, our country was respected again. It is no longer respected. In conclusion, our party and our movement, we're all united by the same shared American values and by unyielding resolve to defend our beloved nation for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. We take great pride in our country, and we teach the truth about our history. We celebrate our rich heritage and national traditions. We honor George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and all of our national heroes. And of course, we always respect our great American flag. We believe in patriotic education for our children, and we strongly oppose the radical indoctrination of America's youth. We are committed to defending innocent life and to proudly upholding the Judeo-Christian values of our nation's founding. We embrace free thought. We stand up to political correctness, and we reject the intolerance of left-wing cancel culture. We believe in our Constitution and in law and order. We want law and order. We demand law and order. We don't want people shot and killed in our cities. We totally respect and support the men and women of law enforcement. They will never be defunded. We are devoted to our communities. We are loyal to our fellow citizens. And above all, we live by the words of our national motto, "In God we trust." These are the convictions that define our movement today and must define the Republican Party, which has truly become the party of the working man and woman. The working man, the working woman. That's what's happening. Look how many people are joining. We have a much different party than we had 5 years ago. You were in big trouble, Republicans, and look what's happening. Now, for the next 16 months, we must pour every ounce of our energy into winning a historic victory in the midterm. Look what's happened to our country in just a short number of months. Everyone here today and every conservative all across our land needs to decide right now that together we will save this country. We must decide that we will not stop, we will not rest until our American heritage of freedom, liberty, and justice is once again safe and once again secure. We owe our country nothing less than that. Our glorious American inheritance was passed down to us by generations of American patriots who gave everything they had, their sweat, their blood, and even their way of lives to build America into the greatest nation in the history of the world. And we are not going to let it be taken away from us by a small group of radical left Marxist maniacs. We're not going to let it happen. We will protect and defend our cherished American legacy and freedom for ourselves, for our children, and for every future generation. My fellow Americans, our movement is the greatest in American history, and it has just begun.
Kind of makes you miss him, doesn't it? I sure do. Let's wrap this up.
With your help, your devotion, your brilliance, and your drive, we will carry forward the torch of American liberty. We will lead the conservative movement and the Republican Party back to victory, and it will be a greater victory than this party has ever had. We will take back the House. We will take back the Senate. And then, after witnessing all that has gone wrong in our country in such a short period of time, with our borders, with our economy, with crime, we will take back that glorious White House that sits so majestically in our nation's capital. Beautiful White House, that's small letters, White House, that beautiful White House. And it is the most beautiful house of all. Working together, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and that is President Trump's CPAC speech, rather some key highlights of that speech. He is, I didn't get a chance to see the full speech. I did watch that clip, and he was really on fire there. Even if he doesn't run in 2024, he is definitely a powerful influence, and I really do hope that he can stick to this type of messaging, which is more refined, but also has some more, he still has his panache, he still has his gusto and oomph, but yeah, this is the Donald Trump that honestly we've always needed. So if he is up to running in 2024 and he does decide to run, great. If not, I really do hope that he can, keep this side of himself going, for whoever does run in 2024. Be that Ron DeSantis, be that Kristi Noem, be that a candidate who hasn't even entered into the political fray yet. And as I told, Christian Blatt on Biden time last week, the MAGA movement is not dead by any stretch of the imagination. It is evolving. It is not just Trump anymore. It's multiple, conservatives. It is the next generation conservatives, so to speak. Kind of my vision realized almost. So anyway, folks, that will do it for the Tuesday show. I want to thank you so very much for tuning in here and listening. I wish you all a good, Tuesday, a good week. I'll be back on Thursday for the pop culture, show. And then we'll have the live stream on Saturday evening as always. Until then, God bless, God save this great nation, God, freedom, legacy in that order, wherever you are. And I'll see you next time on the Whitfield Report. Take care and God bless.
Thanks for listening to The Whitfield Report on the NGC Network. Please visit Sam's website at www.thesamwhitfield.com and support Sam on Patreon at patreon.com/Whitfield Report. Until next time, God bless, God save this great nation, and God, freedom, legacy, in that order.